Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show.
Hey.
Paula, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Let's jump straight into it. So,
Good.
why drew you, interestingly, into dentistry first? And how did that evolve into consulting and coaching practice owners?
Okay. Just start right out the gate. Loaded question there.
That's what we like.
Well, I didn't enter into dentistry with consulting in mind. That's for sure. I entered in, I was young. I loved people. I liked problem solving. I wanted to make money as a hygienist eventually. And so I started on the clinical and operational side very early. I was an assistant. We were front deskless at my office. So I learned a lot about the front, eventually becoming a hygienist. And then I owned and operated 2 dental practices here in Arizona. So hygienists can do that here. It was pretty awesome. Learned that catapulted literally everything double, what to do and what not to do. And just over time, I kept being pulled in to fix things. I really cared about systems and workflow. It is kind of a hygienist thing in general. And then team issues. I could see, that there were breakdowns and that really everybody cared a lot. It's just nobody really know how to fix it. So I learned early that it was it's not that we struggle with dentistry. It's really just systems. It's communication systems, lack of structure, things like that. So I feel like consulting just kind of came naturally. I really wanted to help the practices I worked in, and as I owned my own, I realized that things were really chaotic, and that in dentistry during the day, there's so many things that pull you that were just reactive all day long. And I wanted things to start being intentional. I really feel like when you can make things happen is when you get the best results. So now working with owners, I feel like I get to work upstream down rather than, the downstream problems, just patching things and trying to fix things, and nobody being on the same page. So it evolved, just I think maybe working all facets of the dental practice. I joke, but it's true. When I was assistant, I thought, what are those hygienists doing in there? They, lucky them, they have this schedule, they make the most money, blah, blah, blah. Then I was a hygienist. I'm kind of like, what are those front office people doing up there? They've got all, they're not stuck in an operatory all day. But now that I've really played every part, I realize they're all so important, and they really do have to be working for the same common goal, or you get a lot of friction and a lot of people on the same island doing different things. So that's really just it. I feel like it just naturally happened by wanting to help fix the chaos.
Yeah, it's I like it because you rarely start a venture and then end up thinking oh my God, my dream is to convert this into a consulting practice at some point. This is rather rare.
Yeah.
But it's good. I like to have the little origin story. So talk, oh my God, tell us about the problem that you're solving now. What do you help people accomplish, Paula?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think it's probably at least 90% of the issue is execution. So I feel like I help practices, teams get clarity, what are we doing here and why, align them in that goal, and then help them execute. Owners are always I don't know where the money is leaking. Teams are I don't know why, I'm up here doing my job, I'm getting it done. Why are we trying to fix things? So they don't understand the why behind the system. And then I feel like the whole practice feels super busy and we're still not getting it accomplished. You get a little burnout. You've got, the expectations, but maybe not even the tools to do it. So I feel like it's really the execution. Well, you got to have a why, so you feel strong about doing it, aligning everyone, and then executing it. I lived it, so I remember. I just thought I was a team member. Uh, I was a team member again that I feel like I felt like all the team members I work with feel that same way. And then I got to be an owner. And I thought, we're producing. Why does it feel so hard? Like, why does everything feel so difficult? And so I think helping, that really helps me when I go into practice, realize that they literally just need clarity and execution, like help them hold each other accountable, me hold them accountable, create time through the day to work on the business and maybe just not be so reactive about everything. I think that's probably what I work with most when I work with dental team members, the practice as a whole.
Do you have a specific like target? So I guess the industry is pretty obvious here, and I like it, by the way. It's important, in my opinion, to have like a specific avatar, because then you can cater to their specific problems, their specific desired outcomes, their specific dreams. That said, I'm gonna guess there are different sizes of such business, right? Do you typically help, like how do you choose who you work with, basically, Paula?
Oh wow. I don't think it has anything to do with the size of practice and everything about growth-minded owners and really team members. We can't take shortcuts. Like, it's not easy. I think sometimes they think I come in and I'm gonna train their team and it's all gonna be perfect, but it's really about making them better leaders. So they have to be willing to put in the hard work. Still, they're the ones every day there. So they still have to be willing to hold their team accountable. They have to become stronger leaders. You can't hide behind me or just pray that the systems I put in place work. I need them to care about culture, care about numbers, be willing to share numbers, and really be vulnerable with their team and all be open to coaching. So it's really about a little bit about mindset and leadership rather than like the size of the practice or where it's located or anything else. I know that I can help them, but they have to be open and willing to do the hard work as well. I don't know if that answered what you were looking for.
So it's interesting. It does, partially, but that's the whole point of the podcast. We can take time to develop on stuff. So it's interesting because obviously when you help as a coach or even a consultant, even an agency, to be honest, it's funny because I'm drawing a visual that I want to present to our community in a few days. But it basically says, okay, the funnel looks like this: so problem awareness, solution awareness, authority, truth, and so on.
Yeah.
And the line that I've added is for your clients, they need to feel the pain of their situation becoming greater than the pain of looking for change. Not even changing yet, but looking for change. This is when they book a call. And everything that happens before that is building up to that pain, potentially helping them, educating them, and so on. But so at the end of the day, if someone is not coachable or they don't have a growth mindset, they won't change anyway. So you probably,
Correct.
Not only will they not purchase your services, you probably don't want to work with them because, sure, when you start, you take anybody with a pulse and a credit card, and pulse is optional. But as you grow and as you want to develop your practice, what's important is to get results for your clients.
No, I'm just kidding.
You do you. But so that said, Paula, how do you market? How do you brand? How do you get the attention of those growth mindset oriented people, and what has worked for you to get leads through the door?
Okay. Well, I think you mean how do we find them, right? Was your first question.
Or how do they find you? Basically, what's working for you marketing wise to get your brand out there and get qualified leads knocking on the door? That's the question.
All right, awesome. Well, good marketing for sure. funny enough, we hired my business partner's brother, who really is just kind of has that engineer type, curiosity, very, to be our marketing guy. And it wasn't really his forte, but he's so determined. Like he's just figured out some SEO things that have just been amazing for us. But really it's client referral. As I think is one of our biggest things is we get like-minded clients, great clients, and clients in general through referrals. So that really, really helps. We're huge on asking for reviews and getting that out there. So as we know, Google reviews really make the world go around these days. You don't just need you need quality and you need quantity. So it's kind of a double whammy there. We do get some through content, speaking, webinars, and things like that. And then our podcast, we have a podcast as well that brings in quite a bit. We're pretty open and share a lot on there. So we get what I call little groupies, not so much for me, but my business partner that listen, because when they finally work with us, they're like, we heard you. So I think that those are the main things is we're very open and probably give too much sometimes. And I think that creates trust that we're not just holding back. And I think that attracts people when they get a chance to actually talk to us or watch our podcast or quite frankly, hear us speak anywhere. So
develop what you mean with we give too much sometimes. What do you mean with that?
I mean, we usually pick a problem and we run through it and give them, literally the verbal tools, the ideas. I mean, we just share it all. And I mean, listen, we can all look up things, right? I mean, I would say most people choose a consultant because they need someone to help them hold their team accountable, them accountable. They don't have the time to sometimes it's the know-how, but we can Google that, now we can chat GPT it. So I think it's more about, I can give you all the information in the world. It doesn't mean you're going to use it. So we're not afraid to hold back when we're sharing how to fix things. Even if I get a sales call, from someone who's even interested, I just let it all out, like, hey, here's your problem. Here are some things you can do, to help, and let us know if you want us to be a part of that. So that's it.
Tell me more about, so I like that. That does make sense. Actually, you know what? I'm going to double down on this. I agree with you. And I like the practice. This is why I picked up on it and I wanted to get more take on this. I think in a day and age where information has become a commodity, like we all literally have the capacity to pull up our phone, ask a question to ChatGPT or whatever your favorite LLM is, and get the answers. The value is not in the information anymore. The value is in how you bring the information, how you make it tactically applicable to your avatar, and how you help them become problem aware, solution aware, take the first few steps, solve problems by themselves, get results, and be like, oh my God, what Paula is actually teaching works. Now I'm going to pay her to go even faster. So we are huge on giving all the knowledge away for free. All the knowledge, anything that is scalable, like we give it for free. And if you want to do it faster, potentially better, because you want to work with someone who's done it many, many times, then you come to us.
Correct.
But I like the sometimes giving away too much. I don't think there is such a thing as giving too much, because this is, in my opinion, what works best in terms of content. So you got me on one of my favorite topics, Paula. Tell me how you make your podcast work for your business. So what do you do? How do you explain that it helps your business? How did you potentially intentionally build it that way? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of reverse engineered. It's like, what are the most painful points that dentists bring up to us? Like, oh, my team's not listening. Whatever I've heard over the last 35 years, maybe even what I've experienced myself, both as an owner and as a team member. It's like, what do we keep hearing over and over again? Or what are some things that dentists just can't seem to fix? And then we bring that up. Now, whether we have a guest or not just depends on if If it's just kind of I shouldn't say just, if it's practice management, we usually handle it. If we need a little more expertise, like you want to bring AI in or you want to outsource stuff, we'll bring experts in those areas on the podcast so that they can hear it. Not plus, I know you get tired of hearing Michael and I. Sometimes they do, so it's nice to have guests on every once in a while. But it's really, again, that reverse engineer. What are the pain points? Let's get down and dirty in it. And I just think after 30, 45 minutes in a podcast, you can't fake it. The real things are going to come out. We even start talking about our issues. You might be able to fake something for 5 or 10 minutes, but once you really get, down into the interviewing and talking back and forth, it's all going to come out. So I feel like our real personalities are always there. I mean, we're called unscripted for a reason. We just really want to, we hope there's never dead air, but I think there's been a few uncomfortable moments over a period of time, but I think that's the secret sauce is what's real out there. What are the pain points? And let's pick a topic today, tomorrow, and let's get down and dirty with it and figure out what we can do to help. Does that answer your question?
I like the vibe. Yeah, it does, 100%. And so you're not making my job easier, Paula, because you're giving me so much to follow up on.
Oh, see, I told you too much.
That's the whole point. I like this. I like when things are not, simply not easy. What did I even want to say? Yes, people need to be reminded, more than they need to be taught. So I think one of the advantages with the podcast as well is that you're gonna, be in your listeners' ears each and every week. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're going to talk about the same thing again, or with the same voice, or with the same two people, and that's fine because it's like, oh, it's true, I need to do this, or like, oh, now that the same problem is presented from a different angle, I see how that applies to me, and now I have an idea of how I can solve it.
Correct.
So in a sense, I think there is nothing wrong with that, but I'm very fond of having guests on the show as well, as you very well see.
It's fun.
Talk to me about sales motion. So you do all those things, you have referrals, you have the reviews or Google reviews that you ask for, which is great, by the way. If you're listening to this, do that. You have all the content, speaking, webinar, podcast. How do you move from all this, from awareness, reach, views, to, okay, I'm going to book a call with Paula's team because I have a problem and the pain of the situation has become greater than taking action. And how do you move that conversation to an SOW, a letter of engagement, and, we rock and roll?
Right. Well, we hope just by hearing us and trusting us that you reach out. Like I said, we do, different marketing. Sometimes I stay out of that, so I don't always know everything they're doing, but we've definitely ran ads, kind of listed all those in the previous, question. But once they reach out, I think couple of things happen. It's typically the owners. We don't pass the buck on to some other people that work for us. And it's not because we don't trust them. It's because they've heard Michael and I, they're reaching out because of us. And we want to make sure that we continue with that personal touch. We don't want to be huge. Obviously we will always want to have a job and work, but we're not in this to franchise or to, have 100 coaches out there running around. We like the intimacy of being able to touch our clients. So, we will reach out personally. I think the other thing is do the same thing that we do on our podcast. We don't push, if they're hesitant, we just ask better questions. Funny enough, kind of getting them in that pain for the reason they called us in the first place, right? Reminding them of the pain of that. We kind of do the same thing in dentistry when someone, has a tooth that needs something done. It's really letting them understand the consequences of not moving forward. They kind of know they need to, they want to, but they don't fully understand of where they're going to be and with a tooth, more like 6 months to a year, but with a dental practice, you're going to be in the same place in 5 years if you don't make some changes. So really talking about those fears and asking better questions. Sometimes it's, they've had bad experiences. A lot of times it is fear of moving forward. So I think that really slowing down, clarifying their expectations, aligning, what our outcomes are with what their challenges and fears are. And ironically, we're very, I won't give my technique away, but I think sometimes honesty of, hey, maybe you're not ready yet, or maybe this isn't a good fit since you're having these doubts or hesitate. This is my third conversation with you. I can't do this again. That's the consultant saying that. It's kind of like, why don't you, you kind of put it back on them. Why don't you go see what you need or want and come back to us when you're ready, rather than hard sells. It's again, in a few questions ago, you asked me, who I want to work with. And I want to work with like-minded, growth-minded dentists who are ready to move forward. I can't drag you up the hill. I can walk alongside you, but I can't drag you up it. I don't have that in me. That's exhausting. And it ends up, I feel like, when earlier you said, you just take the credit card because you need it. We've done that in the past, and it honestly, usually we get blamed. They're not happy. They think it's us, not them. And it's like this whole thing. And in our heads, we're like, we should have fired them 20 calls ago, or we should have never taken them on. And we did. And so I think it's just being honest. It doesn't seem like it's the right time. You're the right fit, whatever it is. And that's usually when they double down and come back and actually want to move forward. And then I'm like, dang it. That was for real, not a maneuver, So that's kind of it.
I love this. You can, what's the English expression? You can lead a horse to water, but can't force it to drink.
Exactly.
And so I like the approach, obviously. I'm much more fond of this one. So, it's not entirely true. You can really create the circumstances in which the horse will have no choice but to drink, right? You can make it not drink for days, and you can put salt on its tongue, and you can, there are some things that can accelerate the process at the end of the day. And if there is a real need, and as long as it's done ethically, there is a justification to do that in sales.
Absolutely.
But forcing it at the end of the day is never going to lead to great results. What I like about what you just mentioned, and I want to double down on as well, is podcasts can act as a middle of funnel asset as well. Meaning you've already started a conversation, you had those 2 or 3 chats. I see what you're talking about. We have this as well. I let's get in another call. I need to think. Look, no worries at all. Here are some case studies. Here are some testimonials. The thing is, we are afraid that when we send resources and free resources, people won't consume them and it won't be useful. So let's get them into a call instead. But the fact is, if they don't do the effort of consuming the resources that you send their way, the case studies, the potential episodes that could be relevant for them, that they could implement right away and get results, if they wouldn't do that in the first place anyways, they are probably not going to get either good results from your services, right, or actually move forward at all anyways. So yeah, I like this approach.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone to think that we obviously want to get more clients. We obviously don't. It's not like just that easy. Oh, you don't trust me. You don't want to go somewhere. It's not that cut and dry. But after you've had a couple conversations, you realize very quickly that they're still hesitant or this or that, and that's kind of when that comes into play. At first, of course, we run through how great we are, how fun we are to work with, all the stuff that anybody would do when they're, selling themselves. We don't want to just be like fuddy duds, well, you either take us or leave us. I wish we were that big, but at the end of the day, when they're hesitant, that's kind of where we are. So.
From that, Paula, how do you retain clients? How do you optimize for retention? Once you've gone through the marketing, sales, and you've been working, delivering results, how do you get one client to stay your clients and to, work on more projects or different projects? How do you do that?
Well, it's great that you asked that because we work really hard. We are month to month. And so it's a constant, how do we create retention, keep retention, results, relevance, everything. So, we're not cookie cutter at all. Now, some offices definitely have the same problems over and over again, but we're very hands-on. I worked for another consulting company, so did my partner, and I do feel like, and this isn't a downplay on any consultants out there, because I think we all need them. It's an amazing thing to have a coach and a dental practice, but we found that, like, I'm a hygienist. I'm an expert in clinical. My business partner is MBA, marketing, leadership. We have a front office partner coach. We felt like coming from multiple angles really helps, because I get tired of playing a front office on TV. Like, I can't dig in like my front office coach can. So that's one thing we do, is really assign, like, 1 week they might be working with me, 1 week with Michael, 1 week with Stefani. So it's really, what challenge are we having this week that we need to go on? So we send what we call the expert in. And I think another thing is always showing them the growth. Unfortunately, we focus on, education empowerment, but we really work on numbers and systems. And I think it's important because they don't always see it. So we do a little bit of this lightly, not crazily, but we have to keep reminding them where they came from and where we're at today. So when we work on something, we like to track that progress, and we're really showing them, hey, again, we started here, look where we are now. So I think it's helping them understand numbers, the system, how the people have improved, and really staying engaged with that progress. And we don't want them to be dependent on us. I mean, we're here. I'm going to butcher this. You probably know it because you had the horse saying earlier, but if you what is it with the fish? I know this and I say it all the time. It's, if you feed a man a fish, it's for a day or something like that. And if you teach a man to fish, it's for a lifetime, or a person. And that's really what we want. I would love to be with someone for 5-10 years, but I don't need to be. If I'm with someone more than a couple of years, I hope it's because the practice is expanding. We're hiring associates. We're opening a satellite location. I hope we're not still talking about the cancellation and no-show rate and, after a year or so. So that's my goal, is really, to teach them to fish. And then I become, like, when they're ready to make a change, to expand, things like that. I don't know if that answered the question. I kind of went off on.
This is what this podcast is for. I love this because obviously we have a very similar business model, I think.
Okay.
So I think it's give a man a fish, he eats for a day.
There you
Teach
go.
him a fish, he eats for a lifetime. But I mean, you got it right, and we understand.
Yes.
It's interesting. So we do like this as well. So we have like a standalone project of 3 to 4 months, because that's typically what's required to get results anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like month-to-month basis. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're going to get results from this. And the day you aren't anymore, if you want to stop, you should be able to. So I like the approach. How do you recommend, because that's interesting. That's something that a lot of B2B coaches and consultants could have in place as well, but they really see things as projects. So how do you make this work beyond delivering exceptional results, obviously? You mentioned the milestones, which I like, which is like, hey, this is where we were 3 months ago. This is where we are now. Do you have potentially some downsells, upsells, things that you negotiate with when like a project comes you? How do you manage that?
Yeah. So I think what you're asking is, like, when we get to a point where maybe what we're doing has expired or something, do we have other silos that the client can fit into? Is that kind of what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So, well, number one, we do both credentialing and outsource billing in our practice. So we usually keep a client around, because once they, whatever they engage in, they end up wanting to outsource their billing through us, or do some credentialing, renegotiation, whatever that is. So we keep them engaged. We're always, went through billing, we can see a lot of pain points, whether it's clinical narratives or just insurance verification is not good because we're struggling getting something claimed, or a claim paid. So we see a lot of stuff. So we're able to, I feel like, in a lot of ways, stay in touch with our clients. But we also have what we call a membership program. So it's kind of like a little bit more than keeping your lawyer on retainer, but kind of like that. It's a low monthly fee where we check in with them once a month, have a call, instead of us being intentional and looking ahead. It's a more of a reactive relationship. So now they're bringing, instead of us being proactive and always looking at numbers and seeing where things are, it's a little more reactive where they're bringing us what woes or challenges they had that month, that week, and we're working through them, just a one-on-one, and so we have that we are able to retain clients through membership. And funny enough, we've had memberships that have upgraded back up to things and changed things. So I think it's a nice place to have someone where, if they're tired of working on things, sometimes it's affordability after a while, just, not because they can't, but because they want to take a break from that. I think it's a nice place for them to sit because we can still help them. But it's a little bit more on their shoulders, but we're here still to ask questions and work through some things.
I mean, I vibe a lot with this because we see things the same way, Paula. You've been flying.
Well,
here we go. You've been flying to this interview, Paula. So let me throw a little bit of a curveball at you.
Oh boy, okay.
What's your number one challenge right now in your business?
I have to be honest.
No, please don't tell us the truth.
I think it's scalability. We've tried in several different ways. Michael and I are very hands-on. Stefani, we're very hands-on, as I kind of described earlier. So we're really we're intentional. I say intentional in the lives of others, intentional in our dentist lives. And it's hard, to find like-minded coaches. It's also sometimes challenging to let go without losing quality and the personal connection. So I would say scalability. I'm one person, I probably do the heavy lifting on the actual coaching side, and capacity is always an issue. And then, of course, when you kind of say no more, then all of a sudden you lose someone or something, and then you're like, I need a client. So it's that scalability of how do we grow, keep the personal touch, find the right people, trust, and that's it. Yeah. We've tried several different ways, and we kind of always end up back in the same spot. Me doing everything.
I can also relate to that. Thanks for sharing this, Paula. I really appreciate the authenticity here. And I would say, so we're the same. At the end of the day, agency, coaching, B2B consulting is all once you solve the acquisition problem, which in a sense is not that hard. When there is a clear problem that you're solving and you have proof that you can solve it, it's usually, it's figuring out how to do it and have the right sales motion, but it's pretty, dare I say, simple. What we are really in the business of is finding the right talents, hiring the right talents, onboarding the right talents, and retaining them.
Right.
I think that's really, in a people's business like agency, coach, consulting, this is the number one challenge, which is why type of firms that I'm coming from, PwC, it's like they are huge on brands because they need the best talents to join them right after university, and they have their pick of the best talents.
Right.
There's a reason to that, and if we can solve that, so yeah, all this to
say. You let me know, okay?
I'll let you know for sure.
Okay.
Paula, this was an absolute masterclass. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, get help with their dentistry practice, where should they go?
I would say our website is nxtlevelconsultants.com is the best place. You can listen to our podcast on Dental Unscripted. I think it's on Spotify, YouTube. I honestly don't all know where it is. You could probably Google my name. And some people have found us on ChatGPT. So, there's all kinds of places you can find us. But I would say our website's probably the quickest.
So, before the interview, before we started recording, Paula was like, I don't have a good call to action. Don't worry, I'll prompt. Okay. You have the perfect call to actions, Paula. You know what you're doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the people listening to us, and I know a lot of coaches and consultants want to go on podcast, this is the perfect playbook. So, website, obviously, and I'm talking to you, Paula, but through you as well for the people listening to us. Yeah. Direct call to action. And because if you're listening to this right now, you're listening to a podcast. So when you have a call to action as a guest on the show, guess what people want more of if they make it till the end, at the end of the episode, because they liked what you said. Propose a call to action to have towards a podcast. For this, you need to have a podcast, obviously. But that's the most likely to retain long-tail listeners, audience, and potential buyers afterwards. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders, Paula.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.